How's it going? This is Jay West, fine artist from Harlem, New York, and you're here at Paint Nite Part 2. What inspired me to become a fine artist? Those are one of those questions, or rather, the answer to that kind of is, it goes back to when I was a kid. I feel like I didn't even really choose. It kind of chose me. I've been drawing and painting since I was a kid, about 4 or 5, and it was just something I really enjoyed and something I stuck with, and like I said, I just guess it found me, and I've been doing it ever since with like no stop. The way I would characterize myself and my work, I put my style in the context of pop expressionism, being that it's a lot of pop imagery and pop iconic images and characters and stuff like that, but I usually mesh and merge everything with like an abstract expression kind of tone. All of my backgrounds are usually abstract and very moody, or they set the tone usually for the painting, and then the pop imagery kind of just ties the layering all together. So I would call myself a pop expressionist. What inspired me to do a Paint Nite event was the fact that I remember when I was young, I went to like a paint class, and it felt more so like a party. And I was already into the art, so I had like a one-up on everybody, and that was like the fun thing for me. It was like no one knew who everyone was in the room, but I was already a young painter. And once I started painting and doing my observation drawings and stuff like that, I started getting a lot of attention in the room, and all the girls were kind of like on me about it, and they wanted me to draw them next. So it was one of those things where it was like, this is fun, you know what I mean? I remember that as a young kid. And it stuck with me. It was an experience that stuck with me, and that's something that I never forgot. So I felt like I wanted to do that for people, you know what I mean? I wanted to give people that same experience of something unforgettable, something out the box, but still festive and in and around the art world. People don't usually get to, express their creative sides on the day-to-day because a lot of people are stuck into their routines or they're working or, just the motions of life. And I feel like with an event like Paint Nite with Jay West, you get to step outside of your usual box, you know what I mean? You get to, have a mingle and a festive feel, but you have something creative and constructive going on at the same time. I'm currently working on a series called The 50 Shades of Jay, where I take a lot of different themes, all surrounding like romance and love, or monogamy, or infidelity, all these different things that human beings go through. I feel like in a day-to-day, and everybody experiences love or lust or whatever the case may be, but something within the romantic realm. And I pretty much just put a spin and like a lot of comical humor and like a lot of erotic humor in the pieces. So the 50 Shades of Jay is a very interesting series. It's they're pretty simple. They all have the same aesthetic. It's like a very vintage kind of comic feel. And that's one of my biggest series that I'm working on right now. It's gonna be 50 of them. I might be at half, a little bit over half of them done. And I'm working on some smaller pieces as well, some stuff to frame. But that's about it, 50 Shades, and I'm trying to do some sculpting endeavors soon. I would say my proudest accomplishment is in a whole is just to see the growth and where I've come from and how I'm transcending and progressing, on a day-to-day basis, on a yearly basis. I'm just really proud of my trajectory so far, and the fact that I've never stopped. And I just look back at the last year and the year before that and the year before that, and it's just always a continuous up. It's always a continuous upward direction. So I'm proud of that in general. I can't really pick out one moment. I've had many moments where it was like, damn, yes, I did it or I made it. But I think in general, I'm just really proud of me continuing. Well, I think from afar, people that don't know me, they probably don't think I'm a sensitive person. I guess everybody that I'm cool with and close with, my friends and family, they all know that I'm a sensitive person. And I have weird reactions to different things. So they know me and they get a kick out of that sometimes, because it's like I give off like a stone aura, but I'm very sensitive and receptive to a lot of things. So I think that's one of those personal things about myself that people don't know. I am very, very sensitive. People think I might, I laugh, I smile a lot and stuff like that, but I do overthink sometimes. I internalize a lot. I'm not impulsive, but I guess being that I'm not impulsive, I let things sink in a little bit too long sometimes. But it's a gift and a curse, because I can watch things and see things from afar, see things coming, or it could be bad because it'll bother me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm a sensitive person sometimes. Almighty 7 is, in a nutshell, is a very uplifting brand. It's a brand that doesn't sacrifice its creative and like appealing aesthetic for a greater message. I feel like that's one of the best things about Almighty. It's a positive message, but it's not cheesy. You know how a lot of things sometimes are packaged to be positive and this and that, but it might not be the most appealing. I think we really nailed it at Almighty, where we can have like the highest of design or the highest aesthetics, and it still be something like righteous, and we're not really like, undermining the the end result that we're trying to go for. It's a brand about uplift, righteousness, because I feel like there's so many different things, and especially imagery and like advertisement with like underlying little tones of like, you know, just subliminal messages or just subliminal advertising. And you might see an image or a logo and you got to look at it again and it's like, that's kind of deep or dark. And I just feel like a lot of what today is drowned into is like a lot of twistedness, if that's a word. And I feel like Almighty is one of those brands that is the reverse. You know what I mean? If we're going to be shoving something in your face, we want to shove you the positive. We want to shove you the good and do something for like, you know, the greater cause. I feel like so Almighty is a very cool brand with a good message. I always tell people during Fashion Week is one of my, that's right around the time, especially during the fall Fashion Week, is when I get really inspired. Just for the fact that it's like, you know, like people say, fashion and art do go hand in hand. They coincide very well, and it's one of those things where I get to be expressive in and around a medium that I'm not usually doing. You know what I mean? Fashion and fashion design is a secondary thing of mine, but it's not one of my like the primary things. So when Fashion Week comes about, it gets me involved in different things that I usually don't immerse myself into. It makes me feel very alive. The city is always alive during Fashion Week. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it gets the air, the energy, everybody can smell it. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's gonna be a good day. Like during Fashion Week, every single day is like, it's gonna be a good day. No matter if it's raining, like yesterday rained crazy, but it didn't even bother anybody's mood because the unified feeling of what's going on and what's to come during Fashion Week was just in the air, I guess, like that. It's contagious. And I love it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere right now but New York for Fashion Week. What I would like remembered about me and my work, I want it to be a continuous, like I want it to be contagious forever. You know what I mean? Even after I'm gone and stuff like that, I want the work to continue to uplift people or to continue spreading the feeling of inspiration, you know what I mean? And given my story, given my background, I feel like that's one of the biggest attractions of the art and what I do is because I reach a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people in and around my community probably felt the same way I did at one point. It's like you're young, you know, minority in the inner cities, and you usually don't have the best outlets to things and stuff like that. But I'm one of those cases that's just an excuse. Like, don't use that as an excuse to try to get better or try to excel and like achieve different things that you normally wouldn't be allowed in life. You know what I mean? Or which you wouldn't be allowed the perception of. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing about it. Like, people make money in art. People can be the greatest artists and starve, but I feel like it's not about money. It's not about the fame or notoriety. It's about how you touch people and how you touch people's lives. And I feel like that's the biggest part about the art. I feel like it's touching people's lives and it's inspiring kids behind me and kids beyond me to do things. I had a kid come from Birmingham in London, and he told me, he was like, you know, I've never been to New York, and that's the only reason why I really want to come to New York is to meet you and kind of be like your understudy for a week that I'm out there. And I found that really inspiring for the fact that I made, you know, like my work push someone to leave their you know, halfway across the world and come over to New York. It was like a whim. He was on his last $500 or something like that, and he came out here and he had an amazing time. And since he's been back, he's been producing more and more than I've been following his work, and he's been producing so much lately, and I guess that was because of that trip. So stuff like that, it's like I could do that on a grand scale. You know what I mean? That's just one scenario, and I feel like with art, that's what it can do. It can help people and help lives. Some of my fears as an artist, it's not even, it's almost linear to some of my personal fears. I feel like one of my personal fears that kind of run on the same line as my fears as an artist would be losing myself in it. I feel like I walk a thin line of just completely immersed in like my mind and my world and my art, but you still have to maintain some level of level-headedness. You can't just go into the deep end. I feel like that's one of my fears though, just going into the deep end and just becoming totally immersed in my head where it's like I don't even care about society. I don't care what people think. I don't care about money. I'm just, you know, you have to maintain a little bit of, you know, because you're a person and you're somebody in society, so you have to keep up with the times. And I feel like sometimes in some artists, I've seen it myself, I've seen some artists just go totally off in the deep end and they get lost. And the work is dope, but it's just like you can't even level with them as a person any longer because their mind is just so far gone, you know what I mean? And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. I feel like when you let that mind go, it's a bad thing because you can no longer really relate to people on a normal plane. And I feel like when you're over it and you're too far above your mental capacity, it's I don't know, if you don't balance it, it could just too much of anything could be bad. So I feel like I never want to lose control of my balance as an artist and as a person. And yeah, that's because I could be, like I said, I could be sensitive and I could be in my head a lot. So I would never want to just go over into the deep end. That's not good. It's not good for nobody. Collaborating with Nuko has been a very delightful experience. It's been a relationship that sparked quickly, and it's sparked a great deal of creativity, a great deal of almost like a family environment where we could kind of lean on each other to get things done or achieve different things. And I feel like that's what collaborating should be about. When you come and join forces with people or a company or anything like that, there should be an uplift for both parties. It's been great. It's been great. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. Me and James met randomly on a night that I was just out and about, as I usually am. And I ran by my idea to him, I think the next day, and he was like, you know what, just come in, let's talk about it. And then the next week or two, then we had Paint Night. You know what I mean? So things like that, it's like it runs smooth. Everything is running really smooth over here. Everybody involved in Nuko and then that work for the company are very much supportive and hard workers. So I like being in that kind of environment. I like that company where I can reach out to somebody and get something done, or they could reach out to me and we get it done, and it's not like a lag. So everything has been really accommodating and perfect over here. I feel like anyone can paint, for the fact that, you know, when it's one of those things, it's like the Jordan factor. Either you got it or you don't. The Michael Jackson thing, you got it or you don't. But I feel it's in everybody, and you have to kind of spend the time to hone your craft. I feel like if you took someone that never painted in their life, they'll spark some kind of interest in it, and if they continue it, they'll learn things about themselves. They'll learn things about, you know, their personal taste in painting and stuff like that. So painting is one of those things where you don't just pick it up and you could do it, but I feel it's in everybody. But you have to take the time to kind of just keep cultivating it, keep owning the craft. And once you do that, you'll just notice that you're getting better and better and better and better. It's like anything, you know, you spend time on it and you give it some dedication. It just kind of it treats you well. You treat it well, it treats you well, kind of thing. My emotional state when I feel like I paint the best is usually angry or sad. I rarely paint happy. Like, I don't paint happy. It's just, I don't even like happy music. And that would sound funny. I like happy music when I'm at a cookout, maybe. You know, the family, you know, the usual, the stuff, get down on it, all of that. That's happy, but usually when I'm in my mind, I'm drawing from a deeper emotion. And because I'm always happy on my day-to-day, but when certain things touch me a certain way, in a negative way, I use that as my inspiration a lot of times, because I get more imagery sometimes when I'm mad or when I'm upset. The images or the concepts come to my head quicker, more vivid when I'm upset or mad. So I've noticed that. It's one of those things where it's like I don't use that as the crutch, but I've noticed that a lot of my work has come out a lot more potent when I'm in those kind of emotional states. And yeah, just different experiences and different situations I've been in the past couple months have led me to do some pretty compelling works because it was painting from the soul, you know. I've always painted from the soul, but these past few works have been more personal than any of the body of work. And that's because I've painted directly from how I felt from certain things. And they've been getting a lot of notoriety for them, because people can feel that. They feel the pain, or they feel the fact that it's like, you went through something with this, or, you know, something had to be going on for you to create this, or even come up with that kind of imagery, or come up with this face, or anything like that. So I find that that's some of my most potent times when I'm upset. Some of the things that's anticipated for Paint Night Part 2 is I'm definitely gonna unveil some new pieces. Maybe some 50 Shades of J, because they're smaller and they're just, you know, easier to kind of like pack a room with. I might do maybe 4 or 5 unveilings of those. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even think I've shown any of the 50 Shades in New York yet. So that's gonna be big, for the fact that no one's seen them, unless if you've been to my studio or something like that, and not many people come there. So that's gonna be new for people to see them in person, in the flesh. They've already seen a lot of them on Instagram, but to see them in person is a totally different thing. You get to communicate with other folks about what the meanings might be. Paint Night Part 2 is gonna be one of those things where people are anticipating that vibe they got from the first one, but I'm definitely gonna keep on throwing different curveballs at people, maybe 2 different models or so, so, you know, that the challenge of the observation painting is gonna be different. So things like that. I just keep trying to challenge people and whatnot. Well, I thank y'all for talking with me. I had a good time, and I'm looking forward to everything that's coming up.